Hi guys, welcome back to another tutorial. In today's tutorial, I'm going to be implementing a Paystack payment gateway into this wonderful e-commerce that I've built. For people who don't know Paystack is okay. Let me quickly on my Wi-Fi. For people who don't know, Paystack is a payment gateway in Africa where you can use to accept payments within Africa. So it's a very powerful tool, and it is a Nigerian financial technology company that offers payment processing services to business, and it was acquired by Irish American financial service company Stripe. I think that was in 2020. So we are going to be implementing the payment gateway inside this e-commerce website that I've built, which is a modern music studio equipment store. And if you want to see how I built this application, I have previous videos where I built e-commerce application. If you can follow the tutorial, I believe you will still arrive at the same functionalities I have implemented here, because that's basically what I did. The only difference is that this particular one has a different front end. I use different UI because I wanted it to look better, but there's nothing much aside from that. So here we have the cart functionality. I have added products, and we currently have only 3 products here. So let me see. So these are the products, so the shop, and currently in our cart we have added the 3 products. You can increase the quantity and everything will update. And yeah, so this is our subtotal and our total, which is like 180,000 naira. So yeah, now I have not implemented the checkout. I just decided to quickly wrap up the cart and also implement the product details and adding products so that I can do the checkout and order process and the payment gateway with you guys. Now with this whole introduction out of the way, let's begin implementing the checkout process. So let's go to our VS Code and start working. So this is my product. I have the product functionality already set up. So now I'm going to start creating the order function, which will enable us to be able to check out a product when somebody decides to order one of the products. Now I'm going to go to the model instead of creating another app. Okay, let me quickly close down some of this. Close the account. Yeah, let's close this. So we now have the views for call. Okay, let's also close this, remove. Okay, so this is the views of our product, and I'm not going to create a separate app for the other. I'm just going to do everything inside the product app that is already created to save time and also limit the complexities of the code structure. So without wasting time, let's go to the models of our product. Inside the models here, I'm going to create another table that will handle for our order. So I'm going to create a class order, then we'll do models.model. Then we'll first of all set the choices. First, let's set for ordered. Set this to be ordered. Okay, then we'll do for ship or to ship. Then let me also do for delivered. First to delivered. Okay, now with this setup, I will now set the status choices equals to ordered, comma, then some will be equals to ordered. Then let's also do the same for the ship. Let's also do for delivered. So now with this setup, let's start adding the fields. First of all, we'll create the user field, which will be a foreign key. So models.foreign key, then we'll set it to be user. Okay, then I'm going to also set related names equal to orders. Okay, but this should be a string, comma, then I'm going to set blank equals to true, then also set the null equal to true, comma, then on delete. So before I continue, let me quickly explain. I don't know, maybe you guys might know what on delete is for, but let's see from Google what on delete is for. On delete in Django, so I can just show you guys, just like explaining what does on delete do. Let's go to Stack Overflow and see how they explained it. On delete can now be used as a second positional argument. Previously, it was typically only passed as a keyword argument. It will be a required argument in Django. Okay, all right. So what does it do? I guess the action to be done if the model is deleted. Okay, a situation whereby you want to delete a model. That is why we put the models of cascade. So what does it do? It is a behavior to adapt when the reference object is deleted. It is not specific to Django. It is an SQL standard, although Django has its own implementation on top of SQL. So that is where its implementation is common. There are 7 possible actions to take when such events occur. Remember, we said that it is a behavior to adopt when the referenced object is deleted. So now there are 7 possible actions to take when such events occur. Cascade. When the referenced object is deleted, also delete the object that have references to it. When you remove a blog post, for instance, you might want to delete the comments as well. You understand? I think I like this guy's explanation of this. So protect. Now, forbid the deletion of the reference object. To delete it, you will have to delete all the object that reference it, man. You can read more, because if you allow me, I will keep on explaining, because I like to explain before I code or explain why coding, which is why I had to divert your attention to that so you understand. But I understand that anybody watching this video might be a pro, but in case a situation whereby you don't understand what that means, I believe with this small explanation it will give you an idea, and you can also read it up to understand more. So I'm going to set the next field, which is the first name field. I'm just going to add a few more fields. So we're going to set this. I'm going to say models dot char field, and I'm going to set the mass length 250. Let me copy this and duplicate it. Change this one to be last name, and the next step I'm gonna do is to let's add the address. The address will do the same models.char field, and I'm going to also set the mass length to be equals to the same 250. So what I'm going to do next is to just, I'm not going to add so much information to it. Maybe what I can do is to add the, let's add email, and we'll do models email field and set mass length equals to 50. Then maybe I should add, like, since we are adding address, we can add maybe like the city, or let's use state instead of city. Then we'll set the to be models.char field, also the same mass length of 250. Now what else am I going to add here? Maybe, okay, let me add phone number too, since we have added email. In the phone number we'll do the same models.char field, and we'll set the mass length again to be 250. So what else I'm going to do is to add the created at, and I'm going to set this to be models.date time field, and I'm going to set it to be auto underscore now add. Then I'm going to set this to be true. Okay, the next thing I'm going to add is the page, because I'm going to use this page to do something. So I'm going to set it to be a boolean field, and I'm going to set the default, so am I making a mistake? Default to be false. I have to set. I'm going to also get the total cost of the product, then I'm going to set it to be models.integer field, and going to set the default to be equals to 0. I'm not going to set the status, which is what we did, the status choices. So I'm going to, inside the status, I'm going to put status equals to, then let's do models.char field, and inside here I'm going to put mass length to be equals to 25. Then let's set the choices to be equals to the status choices, and I'm going to set default be equals to all that. You can decide not to set the default, but I want to set the default to be other. I'm still going to use the page to be able to pull up the information. I need to do some for loop where necessary. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to, let's set up a class meta. In the class meta, what I'm going to do is to set my ordering, and I'm going to do that to be equals to minus created at. Next, I'm going to set the, okay, I'm going to set it to be return formatted string, and I'm going to set it to be self.user. What I can do to add more space here, be a double hashtag. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to do is to now also set the models for our order items. So I'm going to create another class order item, and same models dot model, and here I'm going to create a foreign key relationship with the models.foreign key. And now what I'm going to set here is order, which is the model we set just now, created just now. So I'm going to set a related name. I'm going to set it to be items, then comma, the same on delete. I'm going to set on delete equals to models cascade. All right, so next I'm also going to create one for the product, another foreign key relationship here, models.foreign key. Then we'll set the product model, then related names. I'm gonna also, okay, maybe I don't need, let me remove the related name. Let me just set on delete equal to models cascade. Alright, the next thing I'm gonna have in the order item is the price. I'm gonna set it to be models.integer field. Okay, the last field is the quantity field equals to models.integer field again. Okay, but this one I'm going to set the default. Let's set it to be 1. I'm now going to create a string presentation the same way we did for the other one. I'm going to return formatted string, then serve order, so that's product. Okay, so let's look at the model and cross check to make sure there's no mistake. This one should start with a capital letter like the rest of it. Okay, so let's save this and open our terminal. Terminate. Let me increase this a little. So what I'm gonna do is py and do make migration. Okay, then we'll done this so we can migrate. Okay, now that we are done with the migration, let's go to the views and start creating our order function. So first I'm going to import the order model we just created and also import the order. So what I'm going to do here is to create a function. I'm going to call the function start order, and in this my function here I'm going to set it to be request from my end. Let me pass for now. So so now let's import login required from Django country.org decorators import login required. Now you cannot access this if you're not logging, so I'm going to set this to be a login required. Now let's come back to this function. So now the first thing I'm going to do here is to get our cat, and to do that create a cat variable, then I will assign it to be the cat function, the cat class we created. And because I have made my cat available in all templates by setting it in a context processor, I can use it in any view. So now let me create an empty list for the order item. So I'm going to set this to be empty. Now what I'm going to do is to use, and before we continue, there is something else I have to do. I have to create a form inside our product here. I have already created one where I created the add to cart form. So I'm going to import the models for the order. Let's import order so that I can create the order form. Create a class, call it order form, and here we'll do forms model form. Then what I'm gonna do is to create class meta, and what I'm gonna do is to pull up the model equals to order, and then I'm gonna set the fields equals to, we'll get the ID, then first name, created last name, and we also have email and the address. That one, let's look at the model and see. We have email, then state, I have added address, state, comma, then phone. So I'm gonna ignore total cost because I'm not setting that here because we are not pulling that up from our request. And because I want to use this form in my request, I have to exclude the total cost so that it will not cause problem when we are trying to pull up information from our request, because all these fields are going to be pulled up through our request information that we are getting. So what I'm going to do is to set here to be total cost 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Let's look at how many we have here. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Alright, so the form is good to go. Now with this setup, let's go back to our views and continue what we are doing there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use if request. Before we continue, let's also import the order form we just created. So now what I'm going to do here is if request dot method is equals to post form will be order form, then request dot post. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to check if the form is valid. So I'm going to use if form dot is valid, then user will be equals to request dot user. Then I'm going to create a total cost variable that I'm going to assign to 0 for now. I'm going to increase that 0 later when we pull up the information. So our method here is wrong, correct that. Alright, so now what I'm going to do in this other one is I will do for item. Let me put some space here. For item in cart, then let's get the product underscore in cart. We'll set it to be item, then product. The next thing is to set also the quantity. So we'll do quantity underscore in underscore cart, then I'm going to set it to be item quantity. So now what next I will do is to create a product instance. This product instance I'm going to do get object 404. I'm going to use it in case if there's any error when it's pulling up the product model. Then I'll assign it to the product. Then the primary key, I will now set it to be the product in cart. It should be the primary key dot ID, not actually even the product in cart. So the ID is what we are getting, don't forget that. Now the next thing I'm going to do now is to now process the form that for each product, a situation whereby product more than one. So we'll do order equals to form dot save, and I'm going to commit it to be equals to false. Then order user, I'm also going to set this to be equals to user because we created the user above. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to create order dot total cost, which is the variable. So what I'm going to do now to get the total cost of our order, I'm now going to set it to be the product instance dot price, then we'll multiply it by the quantity cart. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to update the total cost for the entire order. And to do that, I will say the total cost, remember we set that up. Now I'm assigning it to a variable, total cost plus equals to order dot total. Okay, now I will now also update my order dot total cost to now be this total cost that I'm setting here, total cost equals total cost. Then I will now save order again. Now when this process is done, we will now set this item. Remember we set the order item earlier here. Now I'm pulling that order item that I set that was empty. I'm now setting it to be equals to order item. Remember we have the order item model we created dot objects dot create, and what I will do, set order be equals to order. Remember we created a foreign key relationship for that, product cost product. So what it's going to do is that it's going to create separate order item for each of the products that is in the cart, and it will set each of them to have its details, the price and everything. So what I'm going to do next is to now also set for the price equals to the product instance dot price, a situation whereby the product is more than one. Let me put some space times quantity cart. Okay, then I'm going to now set quantity to be equals to quantity in cart. Now let's look at this logic and make sure it looks good. What I can even do, instead of making it to be there, let me just bring it back here. Okay, now with this setup, the next thing I'm going to now do is that I'll come back and I'm going to set my context here. The context, I'm going to add the order equals to, set it to be order, comma, then total cost. Let's do total cost. Now what I will do is to return render. I'm going to set this to be request, comma, then products. We are going to create the make payment HTML. This is the place it will be redirected to, the HTML. Create that. Okay, then contest. Okay, so the next thing is here, I will return render. Remember we have another, I'm going to just return render instead of putting else. Don't need to do that. Then request, then okay, before I even put this, let me just set form here be equals to order form, then set another contest here too equals to form, then form. Okay, so now here I'm going to cart where the checkout is, out HTML. Now let's cross check this code and make sure there's no problem in it before we continue. Okay, so what I can do now is in our URLs inside the product I have, okay, I can even use the URLs of the core. Let me just copy this. In our product here, just create let me create a URLs file, URLs, paste this, remove all this one, remove this too, then views. I think that's what we have. Change this to that order, and also okay, I can just put order here. Okay, so I have the make payment. You are about to pay for order item. Okay, so what I can do is to change this right up. You're about to pay. What I'm going to do here is put let's go to the views. I know I added the total cost. You're about to pay total cost for order. Now with this setup, let's save this and let's bring up our cart.html. In our cart.html, we have where's the place is asking us to make order. Okay, proceed to checkout. So here, what I'm gonna do is to add URL start order. Alright, so now this setup, let me pull up this and let's clear this, run our server back here, refresh this. We have okay, reverse for start order. Okay, the problem is in our main URLs for our app, for our project, we have not registered product URLs that we just created, so it's not seeing it. Inside this place we have the product.url as well, so let's change this to be product. Go back, try to refresh, and let me delete this, let's only use one. And now let's proceed to checkout. Okay, before we continue, we have been able to open the checkout, but there is something in the checkout that I need to check. So in the template for the checkout here, you know, we are pulling the information. We are using request.user.last name. Okay, request.user.first name. That's if it is available. I'm setting value there. Now there's a place I used in our model. Let's close this and also close this URLs here. Now close the form. Go to this. We have state. We have how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So let me see how many fields we have here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But what we have here is 7. So we have first name, last name, address, email. Okay, then state. Okay, phone. Okay, so there's no zip code. I'm going to remove the zip code here. I don't think we don't have anything in our model for the purpose. If you want, you can add zip code in your own, but also remember to register it in your models. So remove the zip code here instead of having place while we use the state. Now let's refresh this and see. Okay, here address the Gmail. Now we have order for this, but before we continue, I have to change all the signs to Naira, because what we are using in this instance is Naira. This is the Naira sign here. Go back to the checkout. Wherever there is $sign, change it to be Naira sign. Okay. Alright, go back again, fresh. Alright, so now let's try to add Joe as our first and last name. Then I'm going to put address to be 45 Gig Street. I'm going to put the state to be New York. Now let's use something else. Can use Abuja in Nigeria. Alright, and the phone number. Let's try to place the order and see. Okay, reverse for verify payment not found. Okay, this is because I have already set up it's actually seeing this make payment, but because of the script that I used here and because of this on click, which one is it pointing us to? Is it the on click? Okay, yeah, it's not the on click, it's the script. So what I'm going to do is to just remove it for now. We'll come back to it later when we start setting up the payment. I just want to make sure this is working before we do that. So let me refresh this and see. Continue. Hello, you're about to pay 15,000 for J. What I can do in this instance where he's showing me the user to do order.product, but we don't have the product. But what I can do is in our views here, we have the order item, right? I can also bring up the order item to be part of the contest. So in this instance, I will set order item and I will assign it order item so that I can now use this order.product. So let's try it and see. Okay, you're about to pay 15,000. Let's also put this Naira sign to it. About to pay 15,000 Naira for focus right. Okay, now what I can do next, let's go to before we even go to our admin, because we cannot see the orders here because I have not set up the order admin. I have not done that. Let's go back to our product here in our admin. Please set up and register order model we created and also the order item. Okay, let's import order item and also order. Then let's try to do some tweaks. First thing I'm going to do is to create a class order item. Then I'm going to do in line. So in this one I'm going to do admin.tabular inline, so I can change it to order item to be in tabular. Then I will set the model be equals to order item. Whoa, what did we call the order here? I made a mistake here. There should be R in the order. Change that. So let's quickly delete all this so I can quickly make migrations to it, and so it's going to affect this whole function. I'm going to come back to it because we used order item somewhere, but I did not notice that the order did not have R. There was an oversight from my own end, so even everything here, I just want to remove it. I'm going to put everything back, and let's quickly run migration. Close this so it can be bigger. Alright, so let me terminate this. Clear. Then make migration. Line 13, line 3. Okay, let's remove that too. Let's try again. Oops, just one error like this. What I could have done is even to correct the code since I made the changes before I run the let me quickly run the migration before I do it. We did not save this one. Okay, you know what? Let's quickly correct the changes in our view before we continue. Since I have corrected it here in my models, let's also correct it here, and let's correct it everywhere we need to correct it. So add R, then there should be R here. Okay, so now this can come back. Corrected the issue. Save this. Let's try to make migration again. Yes, so migrate for us. Alright, the issue has been settled. Now let me run my server so that it can be running while we are making changes where necessary. So in Now let's come back to the admin and continue what we are doing before. Alright, this should be R. Change this to other item. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to set the raw ID fields equals to, I'm going to set it to be product. Okay. The next class I'm going to set is the admin model for our order. I just want to also make some changes to it instead of just using the normal admin.site.register. Before we do that, I want to just quickly apply some changes that will make the order admin to look better. And I'm also going to use this order item inline inside this order admin so they can be related. So what I'm now going to do is set admin.model admin, and inside this class I will do list display. I'm going to set the list display to be 1. You get the ID for me, you get the user, and then you also get if the user has paid or not, then created at. Then the next thing I'm going to do is to create a list filter. For the list filter, I'm going to pull up with the status, then created at. Okay, next let's also set for the search fields. For the search fields, I'm going to do first name, then address. Inline, we're now gonna set the order inline we just created, order item inline, so that we'll have the order item related to each order as an inline inside our order. So I'm also gonna set read-only fields, and I'm gonna set it to be equals to created at, so I can see the created at because I need the date created at. Okay, now the next thing I'm gonna do is to do the list display underscore links. I'm going to set the one of the fields that will have the link that I can click to view more details about the order. You can click on the user name and it will bring out more details the order. Let me also set it to use with the created. Alright, now what I'm going to now do is to do admin.site.register. Gonna set it to be order, then order admin. Then the next one we do admin.site.register. Let's do for the order item. Now with this setup, let's go back here, refresh this and see. We now have our orders. So let's see how many orders we have added. So even though the orders has not been paid, but we can see the details. It was just when I was trying to refresh the form. If I click on this, I can see more details. You see, we have the order item showing us focus right, the price, the quantity, the lead bar. Okay, we have been able to start adding order, but now we have not implemented the payment gateway to know when an order has been paid and also be able to confirm that order. Alright, so now with this setup out of the way, now what I'm going to do now is to set up the payment. And for you to use the Paystack, you have to go to their, let's go, let me show you guys. You log into Paystack. When you log into Paystack, you will have access to your secret key and also public key, which will enable you to be able to have access to their server and use the API to be able to test your payments and also payout transactions. So when you log in, you will see how you can pull up the secret key and also the public key. Okay, what I can do is to try to log in. Let me log in here. Let me show you guys. Okay, never. Got it. Your business is in test mode. So this is it. I'm currently in test mode, and yeah, so when you come here, if you want to see your secret key and also your public key, which are the two things we need to be able to make payments, you go to settings. Inside your settings here, then from here you go to the API keys and webhooks. You'll be able to see, yeah, so this is it. This is the secret key, while this is the publishable key. Alright, but I'm not going to be showing you guys my own secret key. Neither will you be seeing the public key while watching this video. But I just wanted to show you guys how it works, so you can do that yourself. And so yeah, so this is it. I'm gonna close this because I already have that somewhere. Now with that be understood, let's start setting up our payment. And to be able to use Paystack, there are different ways you can use Paystack actually in Python. Is either you use a library which you can put through, like let's do the pip install Paystack API. So yeah, which you can get through the py.org. Can do the pip install Paystack and use it to create your webhooks that will connect with your servers and make payments. But for the tutorial I'm doing, I'm going to use request. So request in Python. So let's try to understand what request is. So request allows you to send HTTP requests extremely easy. There's no need to manually add query strings to your URLs or to form encode your post data. So that's what request usually does for you, and we are going to be using it somewhere for this Paystack, and it's going to help us to be able to access Paystack server, and I'm going to install it shortly. So in this documentation, it gives you more information on how request works. There's a lot of information you can get from this documentation to understand more about request. Okay, so now with that being understood, or with that being explained, let's terminate our server, clear this, and do pip install requests. Now let's clear this. I can actually do everything inside the product. Let me close this admin, and now I don't need to close this make payment because we're still gonna work on it. Close this. Alright, so what I'm gonna do now is, so I can separate the product from the payment, let me quickly create another app that will handle our payment. So let's do by manage.py start app, let's call it payment. Okay, let's quickly register that app, payment. Okay, now let's open our payment and start creating the logic that will help us to accept payment using Paystack. So the first thing we're going to do is to set up a model that's going to help us to save the details of the payment, which will comprise the user and also the amount and also a reference number. Paystack requires email, we will do that. Then I'm also going to use verified to be able to verify the payment, which is like a boolean field that I will use to control and confirm when a payment is verified using the reference number. So the first thing I'm going to do is to import secrets. Secret is what we're going to use to create our reference number. So if I import secret, then I will import from django.contrib.odds.models import user. Okay, before we continue, I have to quickly create another file inside our payment. I'm going to call it paystack.py, and inside this paystack.py, what I'm going to do is to create the logic that is going to help us to verify our payments and also pull up our base URL from Paystack. So I'm going to quickly show you guys how to set this up, and now I'm also going to quickly set up our API keys. I'm going to handle it in such a way whereby I'm going to have it inside my root variable, but inside my environment actually. So what I'm going to do here, which is the root folder, I'm going to create a file and I'm going to call it .env, because this is where I want to save my secret key and also publishable key. So I'm going to set here, I'm going to create the secret key equals to, I'm going to assign it to be the secret key of my API from Paystack, the one I showed you guys. This is where you're going to put it. The way I'm handling this is the safest way to do it. I don't want to save this file inside my settings.py. That is why I'm saving it inside my .env. And when we do this, we are going to try to test run it by putting it in a context so you can see. So I'm just going to show you guys how I'm doing it inside my secret. So, but I'm not going to show you guys the aspect when I put my own secret key here. But I just want to show you how it works. What I'm just going to do is when I do this, I'm going to import this file and print it somewhere so you guys can see it. But I'm not going to show you when I have imputed my API secret key here. So another one I'm going to set, let's call it publishable. I'm going to call it public. Now with this setup, what I'm going to do, let's come back here. Let's install something that will help us to be able to pull up this. I will do p install python-.env. Once this is done, let's go to our setting. In our settings, I will port OS, and I'll also import from .env OS, then from .env import load.env. I don't need this dot here. Okay, now what I'm going to do next is to load the .env. Once I load it, now somewhere here, let me create another file and call it, let's say paystack secret key, and here I'm going to set it to be os.os.getEnv. Remember we called the file secret key, right? Alright, now with this way it will be difficult for you to hack or pull up the information when if you want to try to hack me, because what I'm doing is hiding this key inside my virtual environment, which will be difficult for you to pull up when I just pull it directly inside my settings. So this is the way it's meant to be done, and also the safest way. So I'm also going to do the same thing for, let's do the one for the paystack publishable os.getEnv and set it to be publishable, which is what we did here, right? Call the publishable secret key. Alright, so now with this setup, we have been able to pull up this information. Now if I want to use it somewhere in my settings or somewhere in my views, the same way, what I have to do is to import it. and use it directly there. So we can use it inside this Paystack, inside this Paystack.py file. So what I'm going to do is to import from Django.config, import settings, then we import request, which is the request we installed earlier. So I'm going to create a class Paystack, and in this class I'm going to do, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to say Paystack_sk, which is equals to the secret. I'm going to do settings dot, what did we call it? I call it Paystack secret key. Alright, so now the next thing I'm going to do is to set the base URL, and to do that I'm going to pull up the URL, https, which is the base URL for Paystack API. We do api.paystack.co. Okay, we'll close it with a slash. Then the next thing I'm gonna do is to set the headers. The headers I'm gonna do authorization. For the authorization, I'm gonna do formatted string, then do bearer. Okay, then put space, I will do self.paysk. Normally what I'm going to do is create another function inside this our Paystack class. So let's do that. I'm going to create a function. I'm going to call it to be verify payment, and inside this verify payment I'm going to set self, then ref, which is the reference number, then argument, comma, then keyword argument. Alright, so now with this setup we will now apply this headers that I did. So you can use the self, but before the headers I'm going to use path to pull up. Gonna do formatted string again, then it doesn't matter, you can use anyone. Then we'll do transaction / verify / the ref. Alright, then the headers. The next thing I'm going to do is inside these headers I'm going to also set for the content type, and I'm going to set it to be application /JSON, because this is what we're going to convert the information we are passing through here. We're going to convert it to be a JSON. So next I'm going to set the URL to be self.base_URL, then plus path. The next thing I'm going to do now is to set response. For the response I'm going to do requests. This is where we are going to use the request. Then I'm going to do get. The request is going to help us to get the URL, and we'll also assign headers to be cost to headers. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is to now use if response dot status underscore code is equals to 200. That means we should now set our response data to be equals to response.json. Once that is done, we return the response underscore data and the status. Okay, then we'll do response underscore data, then data. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do now, this my return is not looking. The next thing I'm now going to do is to do response data. I'm going to set it to response.json. Then I will do return and response underscore data status, comma, and we do response underscore data message. Alright, now this is going to help us to pull up the transaction and verify the reference, and we cannot do that if we don't impute the Paystack secret key. So we have been able to set our Paystack secret key somewhere here, and we now put it up in our settings somewhere here, and thereafter we now use it in our Paystack.py file, which will now help us to be able to access the base URL, then verify the payments, then we'll return it JSON. Now if the status code is 200, which means that the transaction has been successfully verified, then we'll go ahead and return the status and also set the response data to be response.json. For a situation whereby that doesn't happen, it should return back the response data with the status that it is showing us, then the response data message, which will now help us to understand what is going on. Alright, so now with this setup, we'll now go back to the models here to be able to now set up the models for the payment. I have to now do some further function. So what I'm going to do next now, to import the function we just created, I'm going to do from edit payment dot Paystack import Paystack. Even if I do just .payment, it will still pull it up. Let's go ahead. So I'm going to create our payment model, and the same usual will do models.model. Next we are going to do user equals to models.foreign key. Okay, and we'll set user comma, then on delete equals to models.cascade. The next thing is amount. We set the amount to be models.integer field, and the blank can set it to be true, then null equals to true. Then the next one is the reference models.integer field, and we'll set mass length equals to 250. Next one, email equals to models.email field, mass length equals to 250. Then the next one is verified equals to models.boolean field, and default equals to false. Okay, then let me also add created at equals to models.date time field, then auto add now equal to true. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is also do the string representation. I'm setting it to be self, then it will return formatted string, and set it to be self.user, then self.amount. Right, the next thing is to now do the save function, which will pull up self, then we'll do argument, keyword argument. In this function, I'm going to create a while loop. Why not self.ref? We'll do ref equal to secret.token URL token underscore URL save. Then we'll set it to be 50. Thereafter, I will create another variable called object with similar ref equals to payment.object filter, and I will say ref equal to ref. Next, I will do if not object with similar ref, then do self.ref equals to ref. Okay, and we will then do super.save, then argument, keyword argument. After this, I will create another function for the amount value, and in this function what I'm going to do is to use self to return the int of the self amount, then I will multiply it by 100, which is the way Paystack wants it to be done. Okay, multiply it by 100 for Paystack. Once you do that, you're good to go with Paystack. Then I will now do the function that will help us to verify the payment stuff. Okay, now I will do Paystack, nope, not that Paystack, just a small equals to Paystack. When I now need you to show me the full one, you're now doing that. Alright, we'll call on the Paystack function we created, then we'll do status comma result equal to Paystack.verify payment. Remember when we were setting up the Paystack here, we created the verify payment. Alright, after we'll do self.ref, then self.amount. Okay, so if status, then if result amount, we'll do divided by 100 equals to self.amount, self.verified equals to self.save. Then we will do if self.verified. Okay, you know what, let me bring this self to be here. I mean the if statement. Then here I will return true, then else I will return false. Save. Now, once you're done with setting this up, you have to run make migration so that everything will work. Let's run self migration. Then you do Python manager.py, make migration, then you also migrate. Alright, so once you're done with that, in the admin.py, so we'll do from models import payment, then we'll do admin.site.register payment. Okay, save. Now the next thing we are going to do is to work on our views. In our views, let me quickly import the dependencies we will need. I'm going to use get object 404, then I'm also going to use redirect. Okay, now I'm also going to use from Django.contrib import messages. Okay, then we'll also import from the models import payment, and from product.models import order. We'll need the order we created there. Alright, now I'm also going to work with from Django.http import JSON response, then I will import from cat import cart. This will enable me to clear the cart once we have verified payment. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is to create a function. I'm still going to call it verify payment. Okay, and in this function I'm going to use a request, comma, then the ref, which is the reference. Alright, I'm going to use try and accept, and inside my try, the first thing I'm going to do is to create a cart variable to set my cart into. Okay, next I will create a payment variable to also get my payment model, payment.object.get. Then we'll get the ref equal to ref. The next variable I will create is the verify, which I will set to be payment.verify payment. We are calling on the verify payment function we created inside our payment model. Alright, now I will do if verified. Okay, you get for me the last order in my table. You will get the order dot object dot latest. That's the latest order in our table. We'll use the created at to do that. Right, so we'll use the created at to get that. Once we get that, then we will do if last order, then order will now be equals to get object for then order, comma, I'm going to now get the primary key of that order, which is last underscore order dot id. Thereafter I will do order dot paid equals to 2, then order dot save. Alright, okay, thereafter I will now get the info that I have to use in my contest. So the order info will capture for me the ID, okay, then order dot ID, comma, then also the total cost. I'm going to set that to be order dot total cost. Okay, now let's create a contest file. In the contest file I will do place order. I'm gonna now assign the order info and comma, we'll do payment. I'm also gonna assign the payment variable to it. Thereafter I will do cart clear my cart out of my section. Then I will return vendor request, comma, then call slash thank you .html contest. Now else, let's deal with the else here for the if last order. Else you will show me messages dot warning, and we'll use request, and I will do oops, order was not processed, please contact support or customer care, whatever. Okay, then return a redirect to the home. Let's also deal with the other else for the if verify. Else here I'll also use messages dot warning, but in this instance, okay, you know what, for this one what I'm going to do is to return a JSON response. Let's do return JSON response, then we'll do error message, okay, and we'll do order, should be order ID not found. So order ID not found. Okay, let me also do this one, order ID not found, order ID not found. Now for this one here is good to go. What I can now do for this else, if it is not verified here, I will now do the message that I used for the else of if last order before. So what we can do now for this one is if request, then I will do oops, your order was not processed, please contact support. Now what else? Let's then do return, we'll redirect to home. Alright, now with this being dealt with, let's now deal with our accept. Remember we are working with try and accept. In this regard we'll do payment dot does not exist, okay? Then messages warning again, we'll do request comma payment not found for this ref. Okay, then we'll return a JSON response. Let's do error message, and we'll do payment not found. Now with all this setup out of the way, for this we have to save it, cross check and make sure nothing is wrong, because you know oversight can be a problem and can cause unnecessary delay that I don't want, and you don't want that either. So always cross check your code, make sure everything is working, read it, you know, so that you will be able to identify when you have some error. Next thing we're now going to do is to go inside our views for products to make changes that will capture the function that we have implemented here. Then we will now try to see if what we have done is working. remember, as I said, I've shown you guys how to set up your Paystack secret and public key in your environment, and I have shown you guys how to do it. And I said I'm not going to show you guys that aspect of this code. So I believe with the way I've set it up, you guys can be able to do that, because you will need the secret key and the public key to be able to access Paystack API. All right, now let's go to our views.product to make changes. So we can now go to our template and also do some other changes and test run our code. First, we'll have to import the model for payment. So from payment dot models, import payment. Okay, what else I need that I will use is the Paystack publishable. I will have to make it available in the console. So what I'm going to do is from Django.config import settings. Now with these importations available, what we have to do now is dealing with the other item. I have to set payment variable here that will pull up our payment, that will create the object for our payment model. So what I'm going to do here is payment.objects.create. We'll create that, so we can now set our amount to be equals to total cost. Then email equals to request.email, comma, then user equals to user. Okay, next we'll do payment.save. Once we save, we'll go ahead and also create the pub key, which we will assign to settings.pay. Let's make this to the Paystack publishable. Alright, thereafter, alright, all this will be here. Let me bring this to here. Oops, nope, I'm not trying. It should be under the for, not inside the for loop. It should be outside of it. Now, setting this outside of the for loop makes it available to be used in our contest. So what I'm going to do is set payment here, and I'm going to make it to be equals to payment, then the Paystack, and let's come back, Paystack key amount. We'll set the amount to be payment.amount value, then the return render will follow thereafter. So what I'm going to do is that we have to now end this if form.isValid else. So what I'm going to do is to put an else here, and I would say form underscore errors equals to form.errors, then pass test. Then I will come here and say messages.warning request, and we'll do formatted string. We'll do error invalid data details. Alright, so this will be, I don't know why I'm setting another one. So here, what I will now do is, we're making it to be a formatted string. Okay, there should not be dot there. So inside here, I will now set it to be form errors. Add R here, also R here. Then we'll go ahead to do return redirect. Then we'll redirect it to the start order. Okay, allow you to have some space there. So now let's go. What I'm going to do, I'm going to use my product URLs to make this function available in my template. So I'm going to do from product.views import verify payment. So right here I'll say that, then verify payment. Okay, and I'll open this up and do str, then we'll close it back, close this, and put comma, do verify payment, then name equals to. Okay, so let's go to the, I'm not importing it properly. Okay, so this will be from payment, not product. So from payment of use, then we'll set this to be verify payment. Okay, so let's close this out, cross check what we did here, avoid oversight before we'll now go to make payment to complete, and also cross check the code there. Alright, remember the code will be available on my GitHub. You can always look at it to build yours and make adjustments. And as you do that, you can also, add a star to the GitHub repo. If it's helpful to you, I think it's wise for you to rate and add a star to the GitHub repo. Yeah, so I think everything is looking good from my end here. Oversight is something I try to avoid, but sometimes no matter how much you avoid it, our eyes can be deceiving. You might not see it, but with what I'm seeing here, everything looks good. Now let's go to our make payment and see what we have. So this is the way I handle the make payment, and this is the way I handle the pay with Paystack function of the JavaScript aspect of it. So just to save time, it's very understandable, the code. All we are doing is pulling up those information that we set in our context. Where's the so all this information we set in this context. All I'm doing is setting it here and calling on the Paystack js.paystack code version inline.js, which will go ahead, save all this information as a JSON, and we use it to verify our data and help us to make payment. So yeah, that's basically what this script is doing. It's very self-explanatory, and what it's doing is connecting with the client side of Paystack and also our own client side, merging the two data together. These servers are connecting together, then returning every information back to our verify payment and saving that into our own database. So yeah, if you have any questions or you find it difficult trying to break this aspect of the code, you can always ask questions. I am here to help you and also answer your question. And as also doing that, you can like my page, yeah. So subscribe as well. All right, so let's try to run our code. Go back here. Let me refresh. Okay, so let's run our server. Go back here, refresh, so that if there's any error to pull it up. So let's add this to our cart, proceed. Let's try to check it out. So the order is 15,000. Object has no attribute, email. That's that. Okay, let's go back and see. In our product, we are using request.email. What it should be is request. Oh, it's not even meant to be request. It's meant to be user.email. So let's refresh it again. Hello, you are about to pay 15,000. Okay, so let's click on make payment. Okay, so it's saying pay 15,000, pay with GitHub. Then use any of the information below to test. So let's test with the sources and see. Let's pay this 15K. Okay. Thank you. Your order was successfully received. We'll begin processing ASAP. Here is your ref number. Now let's go to our order, refresh this and see. Okay, so you can see here, this one is showing paid because it's paid. And yeah, so now let's go to our payment and also see if it's showing verified. Good. That means this payment has been verified. What about in our items is also there. All right, so yeah, now let me go back to our home. See, our cart has been cleared. Now let's go here. We have orders placed too, and out of the two orders placed, one of them is the only one showing placed and accepted because this one was not paid. That's why it's showing that it is not placed, accepted, or nothing. It's just not that. It's because of the way I handled the account. I had to use some if statement to control what is coming up in the reset orders. When you look at the code, you will see how I handled this, that is showing the information here. So now, what we can do is, if I change this, let's try and change, let's go to the one that's paid and change it to be shipped, save, refresh this, and see, shipped. As you can see, it has now changed from being placed, accepted to packed and shipped. If I also change it to delivered, it will also update here as delivered. All right, so this is basically how you can implement Paystack in your e-commerce website or your online store, whatever it may be. And yeah, so there's a lot you can do with Paystack. It has different payment options, and there's a lot you can do to manipulate the data that's coming from their end to suit you to do whatever analysis or whatever details you want to capture in your payment. I believe if you guys have any issue or you start working around with what I've done here, go to the documentation made available by Paystack. You will get a lot of details to help you to
handle your Paystack API properly and use it to do whatever you want to do. So that is it for this video. If you find this video helpful, please subscribe and drop your comments, like, and also share the video. You might share it with a friend that is also learning how to code like you. All right. If you have any questions, please don't forget to ask. I remain your humble servant, Joshi Vibe, and your favorite YouTuber here. Peace out.